So here we've got some standard Word and Excel documents just stored on the local hard drive of this Surface at the moment. So if we go into one of the letters, now one of the first things I'd like to show you is the ability to redact a document within Office. Now, redaction, strangely, isn't a built-in feature to Word. So there's no way that you can simply black out easily a portion of the text and then retain that in a separate version of the document for later. Particularly now with GDPR coming in, this is something that a lot of our clients are starting to want to have a look at doing. So we did a bit of digging round, and interestingly, quite a few years ago, Microsoft put together an add-in for Office that allows you to do exactly this, to redact it. And this is stored in GitHub. You can download it and add it into your sort of Word application. Now, it's not officially supported by Microsoft, but it's something that we've had a play around with and does seem to work really nicely. So I just thought I would give you a quick look at that today. So basically, all you have to do is select a piece of text within the document, and then once you've installed the add-on, in the review section of Word, you get this redact section, and you simply within here click the mark button, and that then marks that piece of text for redaction. And you can add in as many sort of piece snippets of text as you want. You can then store the document, and that marking is stored with the document, but obviously you can still see the text, so the original text is still there. When you want to distribute a redacted version of the document, within here there's a link that says Redact document. If you click that, it creates a new version, blacks out all of the text, and then also because Word documents often store metadata, things like author and created date and other tags along with the documents, it will run this inspection tool which runs through, and it'll just check whether your document's got any hidden information that you need to be aware of before you distribute the documents. I mean, normally you'd probably be saving it as a PDF anyway, or just printing it out. But it is a good way of making sure that your documents aren't, don't contain clients' details or any other information that you don't want to send out. So once you've done that, this text is still selectable, but you'll see that if I copy that text and paste that into Notepad, the text has been removed and it's just been replaced by apostrophes. Yeah, so here's my nicely redacted document, and it's created that as a new version, so I can now just do a file save as or save that as PDF and send that on its way. So yeah, not exactly a new feature within Office 365, but something that I just thought would be quite interesting to share. So I have a document. If I go back home, what I want to do now typically is save the document somewhere and share it. Okay, so I click on the share button, and then this opens a window which connects me straight to my OneDrive for Business or my personal OneDrive accounts. And if I click on that, this will then upload the document to the cloud, which means I can now create a link and just share that link to colleagues. And this means that I don't have to start sending attachments to the documents, which then become uncontrolled as soon as they get distributed. So from here, I've got options on how widely I share the documents. So I can just restrict the share to people who've already got access to my OneDrive, or to specific people that I send this link to. I can change the permissions on the document so anybody in the organization can see it, or indeed if your company policies allow anybody outside of the business. And this means that you can widely distribute documents, obviously that aren't confidential, and people just get a link to go to that document. I can type in a quick message, hi, please review. and that's the job done. Actually, the message goes down here, obviously, and I'm just going to share this with James. Okay, and if I send that, James will then receive an email. If I want to personalize it a bit more, I can copy the link, and that just attaches a link to the clipboard, which I can then paste into an email, or I can click Outlook, and then this will create an email for me within Outlook, drop the link into it, and I can carry on from there. So really easy when you're working within Word to upload it into your OneDrive and to then share the document with other people. If you're looking carefully, if I go back into the share box, I've also got the option directly from within Word to attach a copy of the document into an email. So that can be the current document that's been saved, or really usefully, I can click on the PDF button. This will take a PDF copy of the document, create an attachment, and open an email, so I can just very, very quickly send a PDF version of the document. And I don't even have to store a copy of the PDF locally, so it keeps my local drive nice and tidy. Obviously, if we're going to start emailing documents around, we need to be able to protect those documents so that they don't get forwarded to other people. On this machine, we've got installed rights management, which is a feature of Office 365 if you have the E3 plan or above that. This takes a bit of setting up, but it's an absolutely fantastic tool to enable you to really protect all of your documents and emails and other information that you have. So what I can do with this document is we've set up lots of different templates. Typically, a company would only have maybe 4 or 5 different categories of protection. But as a demo machine, we've set up more in here. So what I can say is this document is confidential, and so what I can say is this document is a highly confidential document, and there's a bit of description in there. It's going to cause extra damage to the business if it's shared too widely, and so this document cannot leave the company. So having protected the document and told Word that it's highly confidential, it's added a header into the document automatically. So this document not only knows that it's protected, but everybody that receives it is now going to see a message saying that this document's protected. I can save that document, and now this document is now internally encrypted. So if this document gets forwarded to somebody by email, gets put onto a memory stick, and given to somebody, anybody outside of our organization will not be able to open the documents. If they're not validated against our Active Directory, the document will stay encrypted and will not open. So the document's totally useless to them. And it's a fantastic level of protection. And you can apply this to all of your SharePoint system, even your local files on your local machines, to give you a good level of security. And especially when you're working in a cloud environment, security is something that obviously is a concern to people, because you're encouraging people to share and collaborate. And this gives a really high level of protection against your organization losing information. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a few of these documents. I'm just going to create a regular email. Oops. Okay. And then I'm just going to email them through to myself so I can show you how to handle attachments as they arrive in Outlook. So let me just, in time-honored tradition, drag the documents in there. Now I'm just going to send it from a separate email address. Okay, now those documents are on the way. Now, actually, I'm just going to do that again, just to show you another feature. Okay, so with rights management, I can also protect emails that I'm sending. This is emails with or without attachments in them. So with rights management, we've got this protection panel. I can label the email in exactly the same way that I labeled the Word document. So I can say this is confidential, highly confidential. It's got credit card information in whatever categories you want to set up. I can always also, as an even easier thing to do, click on the button that says do not forward. Then this means that when I send the email across to somebody else within the organization, they cannot forward this to anybody else, or I can send this to somebody outside of the organization. And again, they will not be able to send this to anybody else. And now, in order to protect the documents, it encrypts the email before it's sent, and it will only open the email if somebody's using an Outlook client, either on the phone or on a PC or Mac. That's because the Outlook clients have got this protection built into them. So if somebody just logs in online, or you send it to a Gmail account, unless they're opening that email within Outlook, the email stays encrypted and won't open. So I'm going to click send. Okay. And then because this is being encrypted, it takes a little bit longer to come through. So let's just open this mail. Okay, so this was the original one that I sent with the 4 attachments. Now, typically what I need to do with these is save them somewhere. So I can click on it and just do a regular save as, but now we have the ability to upload the attachments. So I can upload them individually, or I can just say upload all of these files as a part of this email. Let's just use this button. And it gives me any OneDrive for business or OneDrive personal accounts that I might be using. And then it gives me the ability to save them into any Outlook groups. So Outlook groups are the replacement for distribution groups within Outlook. And you can set up a group, and then that gives you the ability to store files, share emails, make plans, drop different apps in. So it gives you a really good way of setting a team up to collaborate with people who you might be working on a project with. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to save those documents to my OneDrive. Okay, so they're now saved. And if I'd protected the email, then that protection would be assigned to the documents as well. So those documents can't simply be saved and then forwarded on to somebody. They've thought about that one. And you can see this document's now, this email's come through with the protection on it, and it's got a little stop sign to show you that this is a secured email. And then it gives you a description here as to how that protection's been applied. So now if I go into OneDrive, and again, this takes a few seconds for the files to come through. Here they are. Those documents have been stored in OneDrive in the attachments folder. So they're now safely stored away in my work area. Probably what I now want to do is take some of these documents and move them somewhere else. So let me see. So within OneDrive, I can now move or copy those documents somewhere. So if I say move to, and then this gives me the ability. So moving them allows me to move the documents within OneDrive. So I can just work through my folder structure and get my files organized. If I want to take those documents into SharePoint, I have to make a copy of the documents. And then from here, I can save them to my Outlook groups, or this is a SharePoint site that we use for marketing. Here are all the document libraries within that SharePoint site, so I can choose my document library, find a folder or create a folder, and copy that document. And then presumably what I want to do is then just delete it from my attachments folder. So the functionality to actually take attachments, whereas before you were saving them to the desktop, having to open your SharePoint site, drag and drop them in, go back to your desktop, delete the files. It's now a lot more integrated, and you can get them up onto your cloud storage really quickly. Now, because these files are on cloud storage, you may know that within SharePoint you've got version control for the files. We also have version control within OneDrive, and so I can see all the history. Every time I make an edit to a document, that's saved, and I can get back to previous versions. If I open the document within Word, so let me just go into this document, and I'm going to open this in Word. Okay, so here's my documents in Word. I can also get to the whole version history of the document directly from here. So within the review section, which is where I do all my change tracking, I now have a compare button. And within the compare section, I can actually take the latest version of the document, look through the whole history of that document, and run a comparison. So this will have a look at what's changed between the previous version and the current version, and bring out all the pieces of text that have changed. So again, built-in functionality, and another great advantage of actually storing your files up to the cloud rather than storing them in your local drive. If you're using OneDrive, you're probably synchronizing your files down to your local machine. Now, syncing is something that has taken Microsoft a long time to get right, but late last year they released a new version of the sync client, and this has fixed a whole heap of problems that there used to be in the past, but also introduced some really good new features. So this is my OneDrive for Business library. This is all synchronized down to my local drive. And you can see we've got some new icons that are showing down here. So we've got some little cloud icons. So if I go, where shall I go? Actually, let's move down into here. Okay, so these are some of the test files that we've been playing with. So the little cloud icon means that this document, even though I can see it within my local file system, is actually stored just on the cloud. So there isn't a copy of this document on my local machine. If I'm connected to the internet, I can double click that just as I would a local file, and that file is going to download and open for me. So there's that file downloaded, and I can just work on it and save. But as I'm saving it, it's storing it directly back up to the cloud. If I go back into File Explorer, you'll see the icon's now changed to a little green circle with a green tick in that. What that means is a local copy of that file's now been downloaded because I was working on it. And if I went offline with my laptop now, then I'd be able to work on this document offline. Any document I can then right click, and I've got options. I can well, directly from here I can share the document. I can go into the browser to have a look at the document, but I can always also click this option which says always keep on this device. Now what this is going to do is download a permanent copy of the document which it will keep synced to the cloud storage. So again, if I was going offline or just wanted frequent access to even a folder of documents to work on offline, then I've still got the option of doing that. But what this is doing is it's keeping my local machine free, it's keeping the disk space free, and it's assuming I'm always connected to the cloud. It's allowing me to work in a much more sort of natural way, really, and give me more control. As well as this, with the new sync client, no, I don't want to do that. Okay, so this is just open the new sync lines. And there's much more functionality in here as well. So here's my OneDrive for Business folder. I can choose folders, and in here I've got very fine-grained control over which folders that I do sync down to my local drive. So if there's stuff that I just don't use very often and I don't even want to see in this synchronized view, I can just remove those folders totally. They'll stay there up on the cloud, but there won't be any visibility of those within my local machine. So the new sync clients, if you haven't upgraded, hassle your IT guys. Get this upgraded because it's just such a better experience for working within OneDrive. Okay, so that's some new features of file management and OneDrive. So I'm going to pass over to James, who's going to show you the new meeting management module within the Hub Intranet.
Hi, so as Colin said earlier, this is our Hub Intranet in a box solution, and I'm just going to run through for 5 minutes one of the modules that's becoming increasingly more popular, and indeed we've got quite an active roadmap and new features coming on this that I'll highlight as well. First thing to notice is the SharePoint Online, standard SharePoint Online tenancy, and we've put some branding and everything that's for our intranet, and I've got a subsite here called Meetings. This is being created as a single page application that pulls in data from standard SharePoint lists and document libraries and things in the background. So where you'd have to go to some of the clunky areas to do things, then is all pulled into this one nice useful product. And so typically it can be used for things like board meetings, health and safety meetings, and you can deploy it into your different team sites and things. So the first thing to notice, you can go in and actually search for a particular meeting ID or meeting name, and you can scroll through the different meetings to have a look at the meetings you want to go and see. It's very simple being able to go in and click on the add meeting button to add a meeting, and that meeting details actually goes into a SharePoint calendar in the back end. In the interest of time, here's a couple I've prepared earlier. So if I highlight one of my meetings, which is my health and safety Bolton for June, you can see my colleague Muglen has actually gone and created that meeting. We've got a standard health and safety details here and where the location is, and we've got a start and end time. And then we're starting to roll up some details from that meeting. So you can see over here on the right hand side, there are 3 decisions. So when we come into the actual meeting details, we've split the screen into 2. So here we've got some meeting details and agenda, and over here we've got the documents. The useful thing to note is that it is mobile responsive. So if you are looking at the mobile view, it actually formats nicely. So if we come into, so we go and create a meeting, click on the meeting, and then the details of the meeting appear underneath. You can go and then click on add agenda, and here's an agenda we created earlier. So in here we've got some details of the presenters. So here are the people that are actually attending the meeting. And in this case, in line here, we've got details of what the agenda is for that meeting. And it is as simple as going into either add agenda, or you can go in and edit this agenda. And this will be a fairly familiar form for an agenda details. And you can see it's defaulted to the meeting ID that we've got here. And you can put in your details for your presenters and things, and you can choose to say whether the document, there's a document pack to go with the actual meeting. So here we're saying attached in a document library, it's a verbal agenda, or it's to follow. When you go into that meeting, so I click on the meeting here, I can then go into the meeting outcomes, or the minutes of the meeting. So if I go onto the minutes of the meeting, I can actually see details here. So there's a roll up of actions. So this is where these are the 3 decisions that are coming up in the roll up at the top. So you've got a nice sort of graphical format of the meeting details and what's in progress, what's started, and that sort of thing. And the nice thing about having these in historical formats here is you can go back into the meeting that you had before and have a look at whether all the meeting actions are completed and things. So here we've got some decisions or minutes that are being made during the meeting. So if I go in and have a look at this decision, you can see there's one decision, and there's the decision is typed down here, and I can actually go in and edit, or I can create an action. So this is a task list in SharePoint. And the tasks appear over on this side. And again, you've got the standard functionality of task lists. So I've got my meeting in here. I can create one or more decisions in those meetings, and then I can decide that there's some actions being recorded to individual people. So here you can see this in meeting, and there's myself and my colleague. So I can see all the actions, or I can just filter it by my actions. And if I go in and actually edit that action, you'll see a standard action list, and you can go and up the details for that action. The other thing to point out in the meeting details is by when you create the meeting, it creates a document set in the background. So here's my list of typically board papers and that sort of thing. And that's standard functionality in SharePoint. So I can just go and add a document in this document pack, and it recognizes most common formats. So here we're putting in nice icons for PowerPoint, Excel, Word, and PDF is relevant as well. So that's just a quick overview of the meeting management module. The new version that we're just about to launch has a few additions, so you can actually create recurring meetings in here, and those will filter through. And you can also, you've got the concept of a parent and child meeting, and you've got the individual users can actually go and have a look at all their tasks amongst the whole list of meetings and things, whereas this current view, which only shows you what your tasks are for that one particular meeting. And then finally, we have a OneNote access as well. So if you want to go and record more graphical meeting minutes and things, then you can actually go and use the OneNote associated with it. Right, now I'll hand you back to Colin. Thank you.
Thanks, James, for that demo. That was great. So what we're going to do now to just finish off is to have a look at one of the new apps that Microsoft released at the back end of last year. This is To Do, and it's a way of basically creating to-do lists and managing your day-to-day tasks. So it's a lot more simple and straightforward than using tasks within Outlook. And it's designed as a very lightweight app. You can download the app for your phone, you can use it on your laptop, you can use it on your iPad. And it's just basically to replace your daily to-do lists. So we can access this from within the new Office 365 menu. So that's down here. Or we can access that. You can go to the Microsoft Store or the Windows App Store and download this as a desktop app, so you don't have to go in through your browser. And it looks very, very similar. So what we have is you have your combined to-do list, which shows all of the things that you've done, and then down the bottom, things that you still have yet to do. You can make any number of lists that you want. So I've just, for demonstration, I've made a work list, a home list, and a board list. To add items to the list, I click Add to Do at the bottom, and I can add an item. And it really is as simple as that. And to be honest, there's not much more to it than that. I can then go into my home list. I can see what I need to do at home, add different items. Within one of the items, if I right click it, this is a really nice feature. I can add it to my day. So I click add to my day, gives it a little icon there. I then go into my day, and this is then pulled together items from all of the different lists that I have into what my daily to-do list. And I can then just work my way through these and tick those off as I do them. Go back into the individual list, and you'll see that's gone. If I come into here, show completed to-dos, there you go. So that's the item that I've already ticked off, and that's done. If I select one of the items, oops, I can set reminders, so I can say when the item is due. Okay, so that's due tomorrow. And interestingly, on the app, I can also set an alert for a specific day and time, but you can't do that on the web version of the tool. And that's sort of it. You then go to your phone, all of your to-do list items are there. You can sort of work your way through them. So people who are list-based and don't want to have to go into Outlook and go through the complexity of tasks and scheduling them and assigning them and doing all that. This just is a really great tool. And it's part of a number of tools that Microsoft are releasing just to help with productivity. So there's a great planning tool called Planner, which allows you to produce project plans and sort of Kanban board, sort of agile type plans with work items in buckets. We use a product called Staff Hub, which allows us to allocate work to all of our developers and consultants and manage those on a day-to-day basis so they know exactly what they're supposed to be working on each day. There's tools for managing appointment booking. So if you're a small business that's appointment based, you can very quickly spin up an app that allows people to sort of come in and schedule appointments with you. And there's more of these in the pipeline. So Microsoft are very much pushing for quick, easy, self-serve tools that do a job and do them very well. So that's our summary of some of the new things that's happening in Office 365. If you're interested in finding out more about how Office 365 can help you as a business, please do give us a call. We'll follow this up with an email so that you'll have our details, or just look at the website amtevolve.com. And we're quite happy to spend an hour or two on the phone with you talking about what you're doing as a business and how you might be wanting to use Office 365 or SharePoint Online or any of the other tools to help make your business run more efficiently, which is what we try and do for our clients day in, day out. Thank you very much for watching to the end. Check out the YouTube feed for more webinars on different aspects of Office 365 and SharePoint.